Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you had a peaceful weekend and a peaceful start of your day. This is the AM version of the actual news. Very short, straight to the point, and I have 12 news stories for you, and one that is, you know how much I hate the word breaking news because I always say it's broken news, but one piece of news that just came out 15 minutes ago. This is about Lebanon and Israel. So, according to Axios, and they spoke to U.S. Administration official and also other Israeli officials, altogether four sources have confirmed that Israel and Lebanon have just reached a deal. Why is it important? Because 3,500 of Lebanese people have passed. Also, people have moved from the southern Israel and also northern Lebanon. So this would allow people to come home literally and really achieve ceasefire. So Israel and Lebanon have agreed to the terms of a ceasefire agreement to end the Israel-Hezbollah conflict. A senior U.S. official told Axios today. Now, the Israeli Security Cabinet is expected to approve the deal, and they have just confirmed that they will be voting on this on Tuesday, which is certain to get approved. Again, according to those four sources, and I'm reporting it because we have four sources. They said, and this is U.S. Senior official says, quote, "We think we have a deal. We are on the goal line, but we haven't passed it yet. The Israeli cabinet needs to approve the deal on Tuesday, and something can always go wrong until then." So again, this is a snapshot or screenshot, if you will. At this point, they have reached a deal. So let's see how everything proceeds. What's important to note is that currently they do have active operation going on. So literally each side is firing at each other. So in this type of situation, anything can go wrong and, negatively impact the result. But as for now, these are the good news. Okay. So now the 12 stories that I did prepare for you. One is the U.S. and Indo-Pacific relations. First is U.S. strengthens Indo-Pacific ties with key agreements during Secretary Austin's 12th regional trip. Why is it important? Because in less than 2 months from now, who knows what? And so agreements are very important in terms of securing the allies or their support, most importantly. So on his 12th trip to the Indo-Pacific, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin signed a key acquisition and cross-servicing agreement with Fiji to enhance logistics cooperation, particularly for humanitarian aid and disaster relief. This agreement, after nearly a decade of negotiations, marks a significant step in strengthening U.S.-Fijian ties. Austin also discussed future collaboration with their officials, including the launch of status of forces agreement negotiations and the potential for U.S. military financing. During the trip, Austin met with leaders in Australia, the Philippines, and Laos, underscoring a broader U.S. commitment to regional security. Notable developments include new trilateral defense cooperation with Australia and Japan, enhanced military information sharing with the Philippines, and U.S. vision statement for Southeast Asia's security. Now, how much of Trump administration proof is this? Well, those are agreements. Agreements can always be canceled out. This is just the truth that I have to tell you, unfortunately. But what it does, as for now, it does stop China from doing anything until January 20th. That is why it is important, because when a country is in a transition period, when the administration is transitioning from one to another, and you have so many adversaries, we have the situation in Ukraine, which we're going to talk about today briefly, and more so tonight. We have Israel, as I mentioned, and we have this. So, you want to be at least safer than without those agreements. Now, second is, Fox now criticizes Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense, which is kind of new and refreshing. And let's think about it. How interesting should be your pick that Fox News would be sounding reasonable in this sense. But here's a clip that I'm referring to, and this is the Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, who criticized nomination of Pete Hegseth for Secretary of Defense. Take a look.
I dreaded talking about this today. I met Pete a long time ago. We spent middle of the night waiting to go on during 2016 before the election, and I like him as a person, with all due respect to my former colleague. We know that there were 3 cases of adultery for Pete Hegseth, and it is relevant. And the reason why it's relevant is Article 134 of the UCMJ considers adultery against the military, which the Department of Defense is part of. You can't lead an entire organization and all these people if you can't lead by example. 1.
And so, it's a longer segment, but again, it just underscores how interesting the pick is that Fox News sounds reasonable. Now, the third piece of news I have for you is that Trump now officially has announced that on day 1, he will file an executive order and sign it into law, discharging transgender service members on day 1. This was reported, let me pick it out for you. This was reported here by the Times. That he has prepared an executive order for his first day in office, which would see the medical discharge of over 15,000 transgender service members from the U.S. military, as well as a ban on transgender individuals from joining any branch of the armed forces. Now, his reason is that they are undergoing treatment or they have to get any type of medical support, and hence they cannot be efficient in combat. They could be, and now suddenly they cannot. Well, I leave you to that. Now, New Mexico also is to fight against mass deportations. This was announced by Representative Stansbury, and I played her video last week. She is outstanding, right next to Jasmine Crockett and Summer Lee in the House of Representatives. So she talked about New Mexico, that the state she represents, and what they have set in motion in terms of withstanding the mass deportation orders. Take a look.
Here's something else pretty clear from Donald Trump. It's one of his major campaign promises, in fact, his mass deportation plan, while it still remains unclear exactly how he will carry it out. A recent study by the American Immigration Council estimates up to 4 million mixed status families could be separated under this as a result of Trump's deportation plans. How do you see this all playing out, especially in your home state of New Mexico?
Yeah, well, New Mexico is a border state, and our governor just a couple of days ago made clear that we will fight Donald Trump and any efforts to conduct his mass deportation plan. I think it remains to be seen how they plan to execute this, but the fact that they've put Stephen Miller and another Project 2025 guy in charge of these efforts show that they plan to try to do it. Now, if they do, we will go to the courts. We will not consent. We will not participate. We will not allow state and local law enforcement to participate. It is unconstitutional. It is illegal, and we will fight them every step of the way.
And so it is important always to consider what is legal and what is not, because a lot of people with certain charisma appealing to certain demographic are very loud. And I believe that there's less people who are willing to advocate for it, but they're way more louder. And so always think about what is possible and what is actually not possible. And to quote the Professor Snyder, whose video I showed you last week, who said, look, what Democrats can do is literally prevent the momentum of, building for the GOP that wants this bunch of laws diminished and pretty much our system to fall apart. And by the way, tonight we're going to dive into national debt. Why is it important? Why are they actually targeting folks covered by Medicare, and why specifically the 65 plus demographic will be affected. And so we'll see what that pretty simple understanding is of the problem, or not understanding, but the solutions that they found. And then we'll see the consequences. So we're going to dive into that tonight to see how they came up to this conclusion, and what could be the consequences if this does happen, and also why it cannot happen. So again, let's dive in. Actual news and factual news. That's what's important right now to prevent all of us, or those who are considered to get very anxious and physically sick. All right, so what is has to be noted, I'm not going to show you a clip, but the newly appointed border czar, who does not have to be now approved by the Congress because it's a new position called czar, promised that Trump will eliminate federal funding from states disobeying the deportation orders. Again, remains to be seen how legal that is. I'm just reporting again the news. Now, fifth is Mexico now suddenly fears lack of workers, believe it or not. And I wish this would have been covered by mainstream media, that Mexico, or Texas, sorry, not Mexico, Texas, that Texas would actually consume, like Fox News or others, because, when you vote for something, you vote for the consequences of it all, right? So here it is. Trump's deportation vow alarms Texas construction industry. And so they're saying that deporting undocumented immigrants has sparked concerns among some in Texas business and economic sectors, who say mass deportations could upend some of the state's major industries that rely on undocumented labor. Chief among them, the booming construction industry. Quote, "It would devastate our industry. We wouldn't finish our highways. We wouldn't finish our schools," said Stan Marek, CEO of Marek, a Houston-based commercial and residential construction giant. Quote, "Housing would disappear. I think they'd lose half their labor." Good timing. Very interesting timing. After the fact, you realize that, you kind of hit yourself where it hurts. Now, I showed you, and this is reported by the NPR, right? And so my next news is related to NPR. As you probably may have heard, Marjorie Taylor Greene is joining Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy with this Department of Governmental Efficiency that has an acronym of this cryptocurrency that I am hesitant of promoting. So she appeared on the news talking about their plans, which also does include defunding NPR. Take a look.
Tell us what you see as the most government waste.
It's all over. Every single government department, program, grant programs, contracts, it is everywhere. And so when we look into a deep dive into this massive problem that's caused America to be $36 trillion in debt, we're going to have to go into all kinds of buckets. And that's how I'll be separating things on the Oversight Subcommittee on DOGE. We'll be looking at everything from government-funded media programs like NPR that spread nothing but Democrat propaganda. We'll be going into grant programs that fund things like sex apps in Malaysia, toilets in Africa, all kinds of programs that don't help the American people. I want to talk to the people at the Pentagon and ask them why they can't find billions of dollars every single year and why they fail their audit. But not just that.
Toilets in Africa, maybe also vaccines in Africa, which I think are mainly sponsored by, let's say, Bill Gates, and also Carter Foundation did an incredible job actually helping Africa. So if you are in Africa, I think you will be more covered than those who are currently on Medicare. Now, remember how the purchase of Twitter started. It started with a joke. It started with a vote. And it was at least presented that way. So we learned to know that when Musk jokes about something, it means there is something forthcoming. And so hence I want to alert all of us on that. So he has been posting for the past 2 days. This is the first tweet talking about MSNBC's going up for sale, which I reported last week. Comcast has took their assets apart, so to speak. NBC News is separate from MSNBC, and MSNBC will be seen as a sort of a startup. They want to hire influencers and whatnot. So first he jokes, should I buy it? I would like to fire Rachel Maddow for fun, and then turn it into a channel that reports top stories from X each day. And so then the voting proceeded, and then joking with Trump's team and all of this, and then they came up with a solution that Rachel Maddow should be replaced by Joe Rogan. Again, let's see it for what it is, but usually when this starts getting coverage, it has a preview on that. I just hope that Comcast is a bit more serious, and maybe somebody like Mark Cuban would like to step in and purchase MSNBC just for the balance of it all, right? Why not? Okay, eighth story is Matt Gaetz has a job, sort of. Well, he's out of Congress for now. He also said that even though he has been reelected, he's not returning on January 3rd. So he is sort of like between the jobs, so to speak, I guess, hoping to be employed in Trump administration. And for now, he got some type of job on Cameo. He's doing cameos now for, as you see here, $525. Got 8 of them sold already. 5-star reviews. He can do a gift. He can do a holiday. He can do a birthday coverage. So for kicks and giggles, this is how this looks like.
Hey, Lisa Kovac, it's your favorite former Congressman Matt Gaetz. I just wanted to thank you for being a longtime patriot, for supporting President Trump through thick and thin. And I know you were bummed out when the news broke that I wouldn't be the next Attorney General. We did get a great replacement in Pam Bondi. She's going to do an awesome job. You have nothing to worry about. But hey, listen, I'm still going to be in the fight.
So now he's addressing the girls' life, and then he greets the aunts and the uncles and whatnot. Anyway, when something or any type of wrongdoing, whether it is Gaetz, whether it is Putin, right? The range is pretty wide. When this remains unchecked, unpunished, unresolved, then it becomes the next grift. It becomes the next business idea that people are monetizing on. So, yeah. Now, something that is not getting unchecked for now, maybe you have heard that Joe Rogan really insulted President Biden's decision to allow Ukraine to use ATACMS, long-range missiles, to strike inside Russia. And I have reports on how this continues. And then he insulted Zelensky. So take a look.
Want you be there anymore? This should be like some sort of a pause for like significant actions that could potentially start World War III. Maybe that would be a good thing that we would like to avoid from a dying former president. Mm-hmm. It's the whole thing is nuts.
I mean, look, I don't know shit about politics.
Zelensky says Putin is terrified. Fuck you, man. Fuck you people. You fucking people are about to start World War III.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know who that guest is and what both of them are taking. Certainly spreading Russian propaganda news is interesting, unless you are consumed by hundreds of millions of people, those who drove the decision in this election. And certainly insulting Zelensky, but also insulting President Biden as dying sitting president, outgoing. He is president until January 20th, 11:59 p.m. or 12 p.m., whatever. So until the next one is inaugurated, this is the president. He's been voted in for 4 years, not for 3 years and 10 months, or whatever Joe Rogan says. And so he was confronted by Kiev's mayor. Kiev's mayor is Vitaly Klitschko. If you maybe are a fan of boxing, Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko are very well-known champion boxers. They swore to their mom never to fight each other. But it's heavyweight boxers, world champions, very renowned people. Vladimir Klitschko is the younger brother. Vitaly is the older brother, and he's currently mayor of Kiev. And so both of them have hundreds of millions of dollars because of their careers, but they decided to stay in Kiev and to fight and to be in the front lines and to not leave or escape. And so Vladimir, the younger brother, he spoke out and he addressed Joe Rogan directly. And then I show you or I tell you Joe Rogan's response. Take a look.
Joe Rogan, I listened to your latest podcast. I'm sending you this video to let you know that I disagree. You talk about these American weapons being sent to Ukraine, which you believe will lead to the Third World War. So, let me tell you that you're repeating Russian propaganda. Putin's Russia is in trouble, so they want to scare you and people like you. His war was supposed to last 3 days. It has lasted 3 years, thanks to the heroism and sacrifice of us Ukrainians. So you're using the only weapon that Putin really intends to use, propaganda. And this weapon really weakens our democracies. Putin's Russia wants to destroy Ukraine quietly. They want America to stay quiet, not great, but quiet. A great America is not an America that abandons countries that defend freedom with their lives. In short, you see, I have quite a few points of difference. If you invite me on your podcast, we could discuss them like free men.
And so Joe Rogan reacted by saying, is it valuable, guys? Or does he just want to have free promo to get on my podcast? Honey Bunny, Joe Rogan, a host of whatnot. UFC, by the way. UFC has been very much sponsored by Russia and Russian propaganda for a very long time. If you want, we can dive into that too. Now, tonight, this is a world champion boxer. Perhaps you want to talk to him, or perhaps you want to talk to anybody from Ukraine, literally anybody, to give you the perspective of a Ukrainian. You can have Zelensky, you can have Klitschko, you can have whoever you want to have. But maybe consult the people whom you've been bashing and trashing for about 3 years. So, okay, now moving on. Ukraine is on the counteroffensive. We see everywhere this propaganda stuff. And by the way, I don't know how about you, but since Saturday, whenever I open Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, and I'm not even talking about X, I'm seeing Putin videos. Putin Formula One, for this, that. It's like a show, a Putin show, and Musk and whatnot. So see through it. What Ukraine does, it is on counteroffensive, and everywhere it's spread that Russia is advancing. Now, what needs to be pointed out that Ukraine did the incursion into Kursk area, and Kursk is Russia. So Russia is trying, by using North Korean forces and the missiles and the drones and Chinese drones, to take Ukrainians out of their own territory. That's where they want to advance, and that's where they are advancing thanks to North Korean resources, okay, and troops. But Ukraine have launched a series of attacks. So first video is, this is ATACMS ballistic missile strikes against military targets in the Kursk region. Take So then Ukrainians struck in Kaluga, in deep inside Russia. Ukrainian drones struck an oil refinery. Take a look. But unfortunately, just this morning, well, this night, Russia has attacked Kharkiv, for instance, last night with C-400. This is a cluster missile. 40 buildings got damaged in one city. 40 buildings got damaged. 19 people injured. They hit exclusively civilian targets and the center of social services, where people were lined up to get help. So those who were injured were the workers who just came to work and people who were lined up to get social services and their help. They also have attacked Odessa with ballistic missiles. This is what remains from a couple of houses in Odessa. Certainly videos and photos are just devastating, which I don't want you to I want to allow you to have a peaceful morning. So let's review it tonight. Now, Ukrainian intelligence services claim that Russia is preparing an offensive on Zaporizhia, which is the southern part area, with 13,000 Russian troops allocated for the operation. Now, whether they are Russian or North Korean remains to be seen. Kremlin spokesperson today said, quote, indeed, from the circle of Trump supporters and those who have been nominated for future positions in the future administration, the word peace or peace plan is being heard. Peskov said, this is the spokesperson of Putin. When asked about Walt's comments, Waltz with the T, that's the National Security Advisor nominee by Trump. Continued, quote, no such words are being heard from the current Biden administration while provocative escalatory actions continue. This is the reality that we face. Putin spelled out in June what he wanted in order to start peace talks for Ukraine to drop its NATO membership ambitions and to hand over the entirety of 4 provinces claimed by Moscow. Moscow says that the terms reflect reality on the battlefield where Russian forces have been advancing, but Ukraine says such terms would amount to an unacceptable capitulation in Kiev. And that's exactly what I just explained to you. Advancing where? Trying to get Ukrainians from your own territory. Let's not call it advancing. What have you been doing for all this month when Ukraine just marched over the border, took over your territory, and you left? So now what's interesting is that we're going to dive into that tonight. 20 days ago, Wall Street Journal 20 days ago reported that Russia was attempting to take down an DHL plane. DHL is the same as USPS here, or any delivery service. And so DHL is a huge delivery service, especially in Europe. I think we have it here too. So 20 days ago, they were planning how to take down DHL planes. And so today, a DHL aircraft crashed in Vilnius, which is Lithuania. The plane crashed, killing 1 out of 4 on board. Others, by chance and luck and really God's grace, escaped the death, really, but that already happened today. And so 11th story is there was an election in Romania. In Europe, as I mentioned, altogether, in the world this year, we have 60 elections. And so we saw what happened in Moldova, where by chance, the pro-Russian party did not win. We saw in Georgia, the country, where pro-Russian party did win. Now, Romania had a first round of their elections. And so a pro-Russian and anti-Western candidate that no one's ever heard of, with no visible means of funding nor any party affiliation, the guy just came out of left wing. He has won the first round of presidential election after only registering on October 1st. Romanians and Romanian media are claiming this to be a result of Russian interference. And so they're sending messages, they're putting it everywhere online. Authorities, regular civilians and citizens saying that this is just cannot be true. We didn't know who the heck this guy is. And so every person is now frantically Googling who the heck is this guy who won and who voted for this guy. So they call it Russian interference. And so in what is a miraculous turn of events, though, number 2, by a margin of just 0.02%, came Elena Lasconi, the most pro-West and pro-Ukraine candidate. She's managed to secure the second place in the first round of the presidential election and will be facing the guy planted by Russia in round 2. So see how tiny the margins are and how easy it is once they learn something, not to unlearn it, but to apply it in different spaces and places when it comes to elections. And lastly, the 12th story is that, as I reported on Friday, I just was tracking planes. And yes, indeed, the NATO Secretary General did fly to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. This was then later posted finally yesterday, confirmed by NATO. And they said, the spokesperson of NATO said, they discussed the range of global security issues facing the alliance. It is what it is. And it isn't what it isn't. So for today, what we have planned is that the president will pardon the National Thanksgiving Turkey in a ceremony on South Lawn and celebrate 77th anniversary of the National Thanksgiving Turkey presentation. And he will reflect upon the time-honored traditions of Thanksgiving and wish American families a safe and healthy holiday. And if you ask me which president do I mean, we have only one president. This is President Biden right now. First Lady Jill Biden will receive the official 2024 White House Christmas tree at the White House alongside military-connected families. Then both of them will be traveling to New York, landing, at JFK, and then later they will proceed to Staten Island, where they will deliver remarks and serve food at the Friendsgiving event. This is a military event, which will be closed press, so no coverage, just written coverage from the pool that I will report on. Vice President Harris today with second gentleman Emhoff will depart Hawaii and come back to San Francisco. This is all we know for this week. Okay? All right. Done with the news. Let me review your comments real quick. I wanted to focus on getting everything done. And then Lisa says, good morning. Hey, Lisa, good morning, good afternoon. Yes. They say Fiji would be the safest country in times of World War II, World War III. Yeah, or New Zealand. That's what I hear. Or Canada even. Hey, Yash. And yeah, it looks like one of my Marine friends is getting kicked out of their job. Oh, the transgender. Let's hope not. I mean, yeah, hope Jim is here. Yeah, absolutely. Lisa says, I never need to hear Matt say my first name out again. Oh, the Gates. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Rosie Marie. Hey, Rosie Marie. I saw this morning. Yeah, it was in regards to a video. Hey, Vivian. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Hey, Chinana. Good morning. Happy birthday. I love the morning news segment. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Okay, we're done. So nobody complains that it's too long. It's been 32 minutes. All right. Thank you so much, guys. See you tonight at 9 p.m. We're going to dive into everything that happens between now and then. Hope not much, but we'll see. And we'll dive into economy. Today's announcement by President Biden about the jobs, 1 trillion jobs created. So we're going to talk about that tonight. All right. Have a good day. Stay peaceful. Consume actual news. Tune out the noise. You're worth more. Okay. Have a good day.